Welcome to Culture Alley Mandarin. Ni hao. This is Basic Mandarin Lesson 19. Let us now review some of the phrases that we learned in our last lesson. Today, which becomes 今天. Tomorrow gets translated to 明天. While today afternoon becomes 今天下午. Tonight translates to 今天晚上. What are you doing today becomes 你今天做什么? I am on leave today will become 我今天放假了. Whereas what are you doing tomorrow morning becomes 你明天上午做什么? And lastly, tomorrow morning I will work translates to 我明天上午工作. Excellent! Here are a few other words we learned during the last lesson. Where translates to 哪里, while to go becomes 去. Where are you going this afternoon will become 你今天下午去哪里? I'm going to Beijing this afternoon will get translated to 我今天下午去北京. What are you doing tonight becomes 你今天晚上做什么? While I'll be at home tonight is 我今天晚上在家. Great! Today we will work on overcoming language difficulties. Today we will learn how to converse with a native Mandarin speaker. Let's start by learning the names of some famous languages. They are quite similar to the names of nationalities and will be easy to recall. Let's start by learning how we say the word language in Mandarin. Language translates as 文 and is pronounced with a mid-rising tone. Great! Note that, just like 人, meaning people, is added at the end of every nationality, 文 is added at the end of every language. Let's look at some languages now. Chinese or Chinese language becomes 中文 with a high-level tone on O and a mid-rising tone on E. Let's take a look at another one. English or English language translates as 英文, where I carries a high-level tone and E has a mid-rising tone. Similarly, French or French language becomes 法文 with a falling rising tone on A and a mid-rising tone on E. Now let's see how we say German in Mandarin. German or German language becomes 德文, where both the E's carry a mid-rising tone. The next language we look at is Italian, the pronunciation of which is a little tricky. So let's start by learning how to say Italy in Mandarin. Italy is translated as 意大利 in Mandarin, where all three tones are falling. Once again, it's 意大利. Thus, adding the suffix 文 to Italy, we get 意大利文 or Italian. Great! Alright, now let's do a quick recap of the languages we just learned. Chinese becomes 中文, while English translates as 英文. Similarly, French becomes 法文, while German translates as 德文. Lastly, Italian becomes 意大利文. Great! It's quiz time now. Let's see if you remember what we've covered till now. Let's start with an easy one. How do we say English language in Mandarin? Is it 英文? Or is it 法文? Or could it be 德文? The correct translation of the English language in Mandarin is 英文. Let's look at another one. How do we say Chinese in Mandarin? Do we say it as 英文? Or could it be 中文? Or is it 德文? 中文 is the correct translation of Chinese in Mandarin. Great! Now let's learn a few more sentences. We will cover I can speak a little Mandarin and can you speak English? Let's take a look at the vocabulary required for the same. Let's start the vocabulary with the phrase a little. A little is translated as 一点儿 in Mandarin, where 一 carries a falling tone and 点儿 carries a mid-rising tone. Can, or to be able to, translates as 会 and carries a falling tone. Here's a quick grammar tip for you. The word 会 in Mandarin reflects ability. It is usually used to predict an action in the present and future. Let's move on. To speak translates as 说, where O carries a high-level tone. Great! Let's do a quick recap of the vocabulary we just learned and say, I can speak a little Mandarin. A little translates as 一点儿, while can, or to be able to, becomes 会. To speak translates as 说. Excellent! Now let's see the breakup of the first sentence, I can speak a little Mandarin. I translates as 我, whereas can becomes 会. Speak becomes 说. And a little translates as 一点儿. Finally, Mandarin becomes 中文. Thus, I can speak a little Mandarin becomes 我会说一点中文. Great! Let's look at another one. The next sentence we will see is, can you speak English? Which literally translates as, you can speak English? Here's the breakup of the sentence. You translates as 你, while can becomes 会. Speak translates as 说. English becomes 英文. And finally, we use the question particle ma to turn it into a question. Putting it together, we get 你会说英文吗? That literally becomes, can you speak English? Once again, it's quiz time now. Let's see if you remember what we've covered till now. How do we say speak in Mandarin? Do we say it as 中? Or is it 说? Or do we say 11 instead? Speak in Mandarin translates as 说. Hope you got that one right. Now here's another one. What does 你会说法文吗 translate to? Does it translate to you don't speak French? Or is it can you speak English? Or will it be can you speak French? 你会说法文吗 translates to can you speak French in Mandarin. Great! Now let's see how we can cover the following sentences. Sorry, I don't understand. And please say it again. Let's start by learning the vocabulary for the first sentence. Note that in Mandarin, sorry, I don't understand is literally translated as sorry, I listen, not understand. Let's begin. Understand translates as 懂 and is said with a falling rising tone. Listen becomes 听 and is said with a high level tone. Other words that we will use in the sentence include 对不起 meaning sorry and 不 meaning not. I hope you remember those. Now let's see the breakup of I listen, not understand. Sorry translates as 对不起 while I becomes 我. Listen translates as 听 and 不 means not. Finally, understand translates as 懂. Thus, sorry, I don't understand translates as 对不起，我听不懂. Literally meaning, sorry, I listen, not understand. Great! Now we shall cover please say it once again. That literally becomes please again say once in Mandarin. Let's take a look at the vocabulary for the same. Once translates as 一遍 and carries a mid-rising tone on I and a falling tone on A. Again translates as 在 which carries a falling tone. Upon breaking up the sentence, please translates as 请 while again becomes 在. Say or to speak becomes 说 and once becomes 一遍. Combining it all, we get 请再说一遍 meaning please say it again. Great! We're done with today's lesson. Once again, it's quiz time. Let's see if you remember what we just learned. What does 懂 translate to? Does it translate to listen? Or does it mean learn? Or does it mean understand? In Mandarin, 懂 translates to understand. Good! How do we say, please say it again in Mandarin? Do we say it as 请再说一遍 or is it 请说再一遍 or does it become 一遍再请说 Please say it again translates as 请再说一遍 in Mandarin. Hope you got that one right. Now it's time for a quick review of everything we learned today. Let's begin with some vocabulary. A little translates as 一点儿 while can or to be able to becomes 会. To say or speak translates as 说, while understand becomes 懂. Similarly, listen translates as 听. And finally, once translates as 一遍. Great! Now let's take a look at some phrases we learned in the lesson today. I can speak a little Mandarin translates as 我会说一点中文. While can you speak English becomes 你会说英文吗? Sorry, I don't understand translates as 对不起，我听不懂. And finally, please say it again becomes 请再说一遍. Excellent! It's time for the culture leap of the day. Let's look at some things we should avoid saying or doing while dealing with Chinese people. Most people know that if someone hands you a business card, which happens all the time, you should make sure to study it before tucking it away somewhere safe. One must also avoid putting it in the back pocket or hip pocket of your trousers, as doing so would imply that you intend to sit on the other person's business offer. On similar lines, gifting a green hat or gifting a clock is also a huge no-no, as a green hat implies a married man is being made a cuckold. A clock signifies one's inevitable march to the grave, and is looked down upon as a gift. Make sure that while receiving a gift, you don't open it up right away, as it is considered rude and impolite to the host. In the next lesson, we shall learn how to overcome language difficulties at a new place. Hope you enjoyed your lesson today. See you at the alley for the next one.